Since the day you realized you were able to create a sperm cell and release it in the form of semen via self-stimulation, you have most likely never allowed your stores to replenish back to a full tank of mature sperm. This is the case for 99% of modern males. This first release during adolescence marks a pivotal point in the life of the male. For most, it is the fork in the road where his energy and lust for life slowly begins to decline. It is a slow process, and as such most do not notice it or relate it to their heavy loss of semen. They become so accustomed to the lack of drive and energy that they barely remember the level of wonder and excitement they once had within them. The vanishing of the childhood glow is not a direct result of the aging process itself. It is self-inflicted and quite unnecessary. There is a good reason why females still have this childlike joy within them, and this requires a separate discussion. Sadly, the majority of males have lost their access to this perpetual energy source that used to reside within them. 99% of adult men have not experienced what it actually feels like to be fully male like their ancestors. They do not know what it is to embody the divine masculine. They have never stopped releasing long enough for this to occur. If this is true for you, then up until now, you have only ever experienced what it is like to live in a male body that is in a frantic state of trying to remanufacture significant quantities of high-potency seed. The body is desperately fighting to keep up with the demand and to replenish what is being frivolously ejected without reason on a daily basis. There is hardly a male on earth who knows what the body feels like when the sex glands have finally calmed down and reduced their production back down to nature's intended level. The level at which the internal machine has been running seamlessly for 300,000 years. Semen is an incredibly potent substance. A high amount of caloric energy has to be burnt in order for its manufacture. This is energy that would ordinarily be reserved for the upkeep and maintenance of the rest of the body and its many functions. In the past, this energy would only be diverted downwards extremely rarely for the task of remanufacturing lost semen after reproductive intercourse. This powerful reserve of energy was never intended to be in constant use by the sexual glands in a perpetual attempt to refill the semen stores. For most of human history, this was never the situation, but self-stimulation has created this new problem in recent years. For modern man, it has become a chronic state. The majority of males have found themselves trapped in a frantic state of semen manufacture since adolescence. It is not hard to see why most are exhausted, sick, injured, depressed, and anxious on an almost daily basis. Their bodies are working at absolute redline just to replace this potent substance that they are willingly throwing away daily. Some are even ejecting it multiple times per day. There is not a spare minute for the body to give proper attention to the growing number of ailments that plague it. The body prioritizes the manufacture of semen very highly compared to other bodily requirements. It designates a huge percentage of its usable energy to this process. This leaves only a small amount to be rationed out between the hundreds of other functions and processes required within the organism. The sex glands will take material from anywhere they can find it within the body in order to keep up with the demand. And this is why the body of someone who releases daily is often subject to several ailments. Long-term retainers will have noticed that they rarely get sick in the way they used to. And if they do, the body fights off the illness within a day or so. Even the simple things like small cuts and bruises seem to heal far quicker than they used to. Hair, nails, and skin all seem to maintain and repair themselves faster and more easily. Seemingly random aches and pains that have endured for years disappear without explanation. Something is finally taking care of the entire internal system. A cleanup operation has begun. When we retain to a certain level, this manufacturing energy that is no longer required for semen is liberated for the first time in years. Suddenly, the body can get to work repairing and rebuilding. A tremendous surge in energy is felt as the body regains the efficiency it remembers from childhood. The body can now begin to stockpile its nutrients so it can use them for leveling up in all areas of life. It soon becomes abundantly clear that everything revolves around your internal energy source on this physical plane. If one was aware of how difficult and taxing the process of creating semen from raw food materials is, they would cease spilling it immediately. Ayurveda describes the 7-stage process of turning the food we eat into semen. The 7 stages are as follows. Food turns to chyle, then the chyle into blood, then the blood into flesh, the flesh into fat, then fat into bone, the bone into marrow, and finally, the marrow into semen. This is not a process that can be undergone in a single day, or even a week or a month. Hence why the bone marrow stores of the average male are in a serious state of depletion, often leaving him weak and unstable. Most men feel this constant weakness and tiredness in the legs. A huge amount of marrow is pulled from this area to manufacture semen, and for most, it is never replenished. This constant drain makes the legs feel like they cannot support the weight of his body fully, which puts him in a lethargic state. Think back to childhood. Did you ever have this heavy, tired feeling in the legs? The answer is almost certainly no. The nerves and muscles surrounding the bone feel the strain, as they too are forced to play their role in the excessive transfer of marrow to the sexual glands. There are some sources that claim that this is where the weakness is actually felt. Regardless of the mechanism, the cause remains the forced withdrawal of marrow to create semen. When all is said and done, it is estimated that it takes 40 units of bone marrow to create a single unit of semen. It is not hard to imagine how depleted the marrow stores of the average male are today. The entire process takes an average of 74 days to complete. That's 74 days before you finally have a full tank of mature seed. Nearly no male in the 21st century has ever experienced this. Almost no one knows what it feels like to leave that manufacturing mode and experience the calmness that comes with having a full vessel. The insights that suddenly become available to you. The overwhelming joy of knowing that everything in the universe is happening for a reason, and there is nothing at all to worry about on this physical plane. You are playing your part in the cosmic play. You start to get a glimpse at the script for the first time in your life. After this 74th day, the nutrients you take in from your diet can finally be directed instead to your organs, bones and tissues, to your marrow stores, your spinal fluid, your hair and eyes. Perhaps most importantly, your brain begins receiving the nourishment it has been missing for years. 1 drop of human blood is manufactured every 13 days, and it takes roughly 40 drops of blood to manufacture 1 drop of healthy seed. Given the frequency of ejaculation of the average male, by this calculation, there is simply not enough blood available in the body for him to be manufacturing healthy seed. It is well known in Western science that the male fertility rate has plummeted over the last 20 years. No doubt in correlation with the decrease in sperm quality as a result of a massively increased ejaculation frequency. The 74th day is when the real growth begins. Now that you have a complete tank, the body gets the signal that it can get to work on improving you in every single way. Physical features, energy levels, confidence, charisma, depth of voice, immunity to common colds, sleep quality, eye contact, reduced heart rate, reduced blood pressure, non-existent anxiety, improved hair and skin quality, and even an unexplained luck that seems to follow you around. Things somehow just begin to happen for you. It is as if the universe now conspires to help you. So with that said, it is important not to think that you can relapse at day 74. This area between 74 and 90 days is another danger zone. This is when a new stage of chemical changes begins, and it can be very tempting to release some of this excitable, fidgety energy by relapsing. This really is a time to keep yourself busy and put everything you have into your current life project. When on the semen retention journey, you will find yourself in one of 3 states: depleted, full, or restocking. The full state implies an entire vessel of mature seed, a state that less than 1% of the male population has ever experienced. This occurs at somewhere between day 74 and day 90 of retention. This number varies between sources, but a minimum of 74 days is the general consensus. If you are anywhere below this number, which most people are, then you are still in the stocking or manufacturing phase. In current times, the vast majority of men find themselves in the depleted state. Nearly everyone else finds themselves perpetually looping through the manufacturing phase. This can take quite some time to transcend. For those rare few who have managed to reach that 74-day mark, the journey is far from over. In fact, this is actually where the real journey begins. Up until now, you have just been paying for your ticket to ride. It is important to stay vigilant as you enter these higher numbers and enjoy what happens next. For the first time in years, your body is now able to shift its attention to other areas that need improvement, be it physical, mental, or spiritual, and it will keep doing so, provided it does not have to return to restocking. This is because the male body prioritizes restocking sperm cells above all else, and this takes a tremendous amount of energy to maintain. Once you have achieved this full store, stay in that zone where your body is not constantly trying to replenish seed. The body can now become nutrient-dense. Try not to convince yourself that now it will be okay to release once again. It is extremely tempting to test this. It takes a full 6 months of retention before the sex glands fully get the message and production slows down to a trickle. The energy that is liberated at this point cannot be described.